Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be about luxury alternatives from Ferragamo. So Ferragamo alternatives to classic luxury bags. I don't know how I'm gonna say it yet. Popular luxury bags? We'll see. You'll have seen my decision about that in the title. But yeah, I'm going to go through some different Ferragamo bags that remind me of other bags. They're not dupes of these bags by any means. They have a Ferragamo classic spin on them, but maybe if you like this popular luxury bag, but it's not quite right for you, or it's out of your price range, you might want to look at another really high quality luxury brand that's a similar bag. So that's the plan. Thank you to one of my followers for this idea. She was like, hey, you remember that Ferragamo Vera Jelly, which I remember very clearly because I used to have it in gray. She's like, it's so much like the Chanel 19, which it is. It's amazing. And Ferragamo's came out first. They don't make the Vera Jelly anymore, but you can definitely find it out there on the pre-loved market for really good prices. For this bag and for all the bags that I mentioned, I will link some down below. If they're current, I'll link the current. If not, I'll link a few pre-loved options. So this is a really great bag that you can get for a fraction of the price and still have a similar vibe to the Chanel 19, though it's not exactly that bag. So when that bag goes out of style, because I'm someone who doesn't necessarily think that's going to be a classic that's going to stick around forever. I think the puffy bag trend might go away. This one might be a little bit more subdued and classic and stay around a little longer. So let me know what you think about that. The next one is one that I have. So the Ferragamo two-way Ganchini bag. And I think that this is very similar to the Kelly. This is Ferragamo's classic bag. It came out 30-ish years ago. And it's a beautiful classic style. Similar to the Kelly. Much easier clasp to open and like a 10th, if not less, a 20th of the price of a Kelly. So yeah, this is a beautiful, stunning bag. I can't get enough of it. It's really comfortable to carry. It's not heavy like the Kelly. You can add the strap. You cannot. Really easy to get in and out of again, which I think is a big con of the Kelly, but that beautiful structured classic look. So I think it's a pretty similar alternative. Next is the Batik or the Beky. I used to have the Beky, so here's a picture of that bag. I really liked that bag, but the sides were a little too soft for me for that. Whereas the Batik or the Briana, which are all just kind of different versions of a very similar bag from Ferragamo, those are a little bit more structured. The Briana I really liked, but it doesn't have a long strap. The Beky does, and I think the Batik does in the smaller sizes. But anyway, you could probably guess what this reminds me of. The Prada Galleria. It reminds me so much of that bag. It's Ferragamo's take on a classic structured work bag just like that. And I think it's a beautiful option. I recently talked about the Ferragamo Amy bag and how much I think that the small version of that looks like the Celine Nano. The large version kind of looks like the Celine Phantom, or it's Phantom, right? The large totes. So it kind of has the same range. And honestly, they came out about the same time. I've been looking at that Ferragamo range for 6 years probably. And I guess Celine was out before that, but I don't remember exactly when Ferragamo came out. Anyway, it's a similar time period when that kind of winged structure was really popular. It certainly still is popular. It has some popularity. The smallest size of the Amy is probably one of the more popular ones, which is very similar to in the Celine. The Nano is the most popular size, and I do really like the long strap of that. So I think this is a really great alternative that you can get for a fraction of the price, and it doesn't have a robot face. Ferragamo has a number of mini bags and wallet on chains. I have one of the mini bags right here, which I've always liked. That's the Vera. This is the non-quilted version of that. But this one doesn't have any like wallet structures inside of it. The wallet on chain, though, is really quite similar. You can find very similar ones to a ton of different wallet on chains, the most famous of which is the Chanel, but a lot of brands do their own version of a wallet on chain, and I think Ferragamo's is definitely one to consider if that is a silhouette that you like. The next one that I have on my list, I have not been able to figure out exactly the bag that it looks like. So this is the Ferragamo Aileen bag. You can also get it in fun patterns like this one. What does this remind you all of? I thought it was the Prada Kahir. It's not. I had my friend Jenny from Lux Life in the Doghouse was like, oh yeah, I think it's kind of like the Pochette Métis, which I sort of see. It does kind of look like the vintage version of the Pochette Métis, which was called like the Monceau, I think. Monceau, something like that. It does kind of look like that, the Louis Vuitton Pochette Métis and Louis Vuitton Monceau. And then Catherine said it reminded her of an old version of the Ladis line from Balenciaga, which I can see as well. But I don't think any of those are the ones that I'm thinking of. I thought maybe it was the Diorama, but it's not the Dior Ever. I can't figure out what it is. So if you think of what this is an alternative to, let me know. Obviously, it's a classic shape. Lots of different brands have their take on it. But I do feel like there's one that I can't put my finger on that this one really reminds me of. Okay, so next up are backpacks. And I really like all the different versions of the Ferragamo backpacks. If I was into backpacks, I would get one of them. But some of the smaller ones remind me of, not like the Palm Springs Mini, but other classic luxury bags like the Chanel backpacks, some of the Gucci backpacks. But really, I'm going to go with like this quilted version looks a lot like this Chanel quilted version, right? Like there are so many different options. So I think that is definitely one to consider. You can find them pre-loved or you can buy new backpacks. Ferragamo always has at least one, sometimes in the men's collection. But if you want a classic luxury backpack, it's a good one to go for. All right, next up is the Ferragamo Margot. There are a few things with this similar like oversized circular Ganchini lock that are a lot like Chloe bags, right? So the Margot I think looks like the Chloe Faye, but a little bit more feminine. The Chloe's a little bit more like boho, right? I really like the Margot. I think that's a really pretty bag. I like the top handle and all of that jazz. But yeah, there's a few different ones in that line. If Chloe is your kind of go-to and you really like that vibe, you can find some Ferragamo ones that are a really nice alternative. Next up is a bucket bag, which when I think of a luxury bucket bag, I always think of the Louis Vuitton Noe. So that's what I'm going to compare it to. So the Louis Vuitton Noe versus the, I would call it like vintage Vera bucket bag. I'm not sure exactly what the name of it was, but you can definitely find some of these. Super cute alternative, especially if you want something that's black, but maybe you don't want the epi leather. Or in general, you just are looking for something a little bit different than the Noe, which is definitely a popular option. And then last up is the Ferragamo camera bag. They have a ton of different camera bags, of course, like so many different brands, but this one with the Ganchini kind of logo stitched into it reminds me so much of the Gucci Soho Disco. It doesn't have, of course, the big GGs, but it does have that same just kind of like stitched in large, but not like overpowering because it's the same color, just stitched in logo camera bag. So that is an option if maybe you don't want the big GGs or you want something that's just a little bit different, or you love camera bags so much that you want a multitude of them. So that's it for this video. I hope that you found that interesting. I've been really thinking about how some of these Ferragamo bags just do remind me of other things. And I don't think that they're copying, right? They're just taking these ideas and silhouettes that are interesting. I'm not a fan of dupes at all. I don't like anybody who's like taking everybody else's intellectual property. Ferragamo has plenty of their own things, and some of them they came out with first. But yeah, I just think that they understand the popular silhouettes that are out there, and they put their own spin on them. And I really like them. And I think that they get overshadowed and overlooked all the time, just in general as a brand. So hopefully something that I just went through is interesting to you, and if you hadn't considered Ferragamo before, maybe you will now. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in a future video. Bye.